Welcome one, welcome all to the Four Nations 2025 Winter Split. A new year brings plenty of change, so buckle in as we've got a lot to get through before Game 1 kicks off in a few short minutes. In short, like the other NLC regions, the Four Nations now directly qualifies to our EMEA Regional League. Rest in peace, NLC 2. And with an RPS to look forward to at the end of the year before sweeping larger changes in 2026, available in Medic's narrated video on our social media and the NLCs. With the Rats of Lost Returns, the Gentlemen of Nord, and the EMEA Superstars of Ruddy only one division away, we are closer than ever to having our local talent face off against historic international players. Names like Reckler's Nemesis, the Messi of League of Legends, Perks, Yankos, and the Baus, undisputably the Emil Heskey of League of Legends, and many more, too many to name. Tonight we have rebuilds, we have 1 versus 1 annihilation, we have the best and brightest of the United Kingdom and Ireland. 2025 is going to be a year to remember for local League of Legends. Welcome back to the Four Nations, and if you haven't already seen over on Twitter, we've got an all-star broadcast team to tell this year's story. Let's go and say hi to Sovinix and W King. Good evening both.
Hello,
How are we doing?
Hello. Yeah, super excited to cover this split of the UKL. I think took a look at the rosters. I'm excited because we have such a variant of skill levels. There's even players coming down from NLC Div 2, which makes it more exciting in terms of how good this league can be. And competing at the RPS, that's going to be something I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure DB King, you are super excited for this.
I mean, this has been a huge split for Div 1 in the UKL, the Four Nations, because there's also so many new teams playing in it. A lot of changes came, and that means there's a lot of Div 2 teams that got opportunities to promote up. So loads of new talent to shine. It's just going to be exciting, and I'm all for this split.
It's going to be so much fun. And we've got plenty to talk about. We've got a whole new season. 2025 has started. We're going to show some of the teams that may have changed over the winter break. We have a number of teams unfortunately leaving us, and some new exciting ones to fill their places. I'm not sure if we have the graphic then. It's all right. We're going to talk about it. Oh, you say the words, and it appears from Division 2, the 200 Bandits. Dubby, the quick rundown.
Yeah, so this roster came in. They actually promoted through open qualifiers last split, and they dominated the Div 2 scene, finishing first place overall and having a pretty successful playoff run. The team, though, however, is very different. Kenny, the support, is the only player staying on from that original roster, and they're bringing in a bunch of new players into this, and a few names that haven't quite shown yet in the Four Nations as well. Lucifer, their jungler, for example, is one of their primetime players. I'm very excited to see how they do. But the other players, I think we've seen them around a bit, so for sure, a new roster, and this team, they've been practicing, they're definitely ready.
It's an exciting time. Straight through Division 2 and straight up. Sovinix, we saw Team Vertex last split. I wouldn't say it was super successful. There was a Heimerdinger incident that was 10 out of 10. Talk us through this roster.
I do remember that. Well, listen, Vertex, they've never necessarily been rated as one of the strong teams of the Division 1. But to be fair, they avoided relegation. I think even though they didn't dominate the league, they definitely put people in their place in terms of we're not the bottom team, we're not even bottom 2, and you know they're going to be fielding basically the same roster. We see familiar faces. I personally am a big fan of their AD carry Nectarios, or Neck, and as someone great mechanics. This team have been playing together for a long time, so if there's an X factor that these guys have, it's the fact that they are a fantastic unit.
All right, 2 exciting teams to get us going. We're going to have to share the bigger changes with you later in the night. Gentlemen, there's something else new on Summoner's Rift.
Yep.
He's a bit exciting. Talk to me about Articon.
Oh, okay, Articon. Well, so this objective is, it kind of spawns 14 minutes into the game, depending on where the action on the map has been. And there are 2 different buffs. There is the Voracious Articon, and there's the Ruinous Articon. No, Voracious Articon, I think we off camera kind of talked.
Yep.
This needs to be investigated is one way I would phrase it. Like, it definitely needs to be looked into. It's essentially, it gives you a GA for 150 seconds, where so far already in pro play, what we've seen is they get the Voracious Articon, they flip some random objective fight, no one dies because they just withdraw, they TP back. It's essentially like a 5v10 situation that you can get from that.
Even if you wipe the team, 100 gold each is like 2 kills and change, or like 1 kill and nearly all of another one. Depends where you're at with shutdowns and actually like burning through different members on the rift. It's super lopsided. Dubby, what was your takeaway from the first few weeks of 2025 with Articon?
Well, I mean, the big thing, just to touch on Ferocious too, is that also champions that sack and get resets, these kills don't even count as kills. You don't get any kind of Medjai's or Dark Seal bonuses. You won't get any kind of resets on, like, Jinx getting excited or Ahri, etc. So, it's just really, really rough. I mean, it took teams to kind of get into the flow of it, right? You have this respawn buff, how are you going to use it? Now they've learned, just send it, and there's no risks. But Ruinous also isn't to be underestimated. Yes, you don't have the super cool buff that's kind of fun and catchy, but the amount of XP and just adaptive stats you get is hugely impactful, and it's a permanent scaling buff, right? You get the 25% addition to all objectives on the map, can definitely favor a team, but you have to have those objectives to match it, so maybe not as flashy or as exciting, but can be something that's more winning conditional for a later stage.
It still feels so strong. I'm like, oh, great, I don't have to flip a GA anymore. But I just get a level, a whole level at that stage of the game. Completely unfair. We're gonna bring it back to these two rosters. We're gonna have a look, and then I think we got to wait for the helicopter in the sky to tell us if the 1 versus 1 is ready. Because that's right, we have 1 versus 1 side select in our way of pushing forwards and having new things on broadcast. We might be stealing this one from the LPL, and we've got Vertex's Sharpie up against 200 Bandits Dutch Owns, Akali versus Tryndamere. It's not one I think Akali does too well in at level 3, but we'll have to see.
I've heard a few things about this Tryndamere pick. This is the demolish Tryndamere tech. What this wants to do is just scale up to the point where they can't die, and either win by farm or win by taking down the tower. As we see this scaling through, I can imagine he will just eventually be able to outshove the Akali. And with just Tryndamere being the champion that they are, Akali won't be able to kill that. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But
there's a stacked wave there. Akali's trimmed off most of it. We'll get the second heal.
Yeah, the tricky thing with Tryndamere in 1v1s, he's essentially a stat checker. Like, what does he do? He auto attacks you. He's got rage. So it's just free crits. You can see the sustain that Tryndamere has. It's unmatched to what Akali can do. Tryndamere appeared off screen with, I guess you could say a quarter health. He's returned with full HP. So that's what this champion does in 1v1s.
Guardian's one, I think, doing work as well. Health regen. When you're constantly whittling away at your own. Sort of deceptively effective, I guess, especially with the grasp. There's lots of little efficiencies to go on top of that big heal we know and love.
I think the interesting thing is the fact that JB Dutch Owns has probably gone through several rotations of this Tryndamere, and it hasn't really amounted to anything. So that's pretty fair, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's it's kind of hard. The Tryndamere is starting to catch my farm, and all in. Does take him low, barrier popped.
Yeah.
This isn't lethal, is it?
No, I don't think so. Sharpie still has the Undying Rage, so should just hold on to that one. Just a reminder that there are other win conditions other than getting First Blood.
Yeah,
there's CS to play for, there's a turret you can grab as well, and
we're on 100 CS, or that first turret. Or we're doing CS by
10 minutes. CS by 10 minutes, I believe, yeah. Right now, all those numbers being won by that Akali. As Sharpie spins forward, has level advantage. Here's the tricky thing, right? Akali wants to just one-shot someone, but JB Dutch Owns knows that Sharpie has that ult. So you can't just flip around and engage. And Sharpie's just gonna go for that turret. My goodness.
That single demolish proc was just enough, right? This is kind of, I think, the angle right here. The 23 more CS is what GB needs here to get that kind of win con through CS. But the Demolish cooldown is going to be low enough that I think Sharpie, with one more cannon wave on this tower, should be able to get it. Actually,
did JB just ult the minions away?
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's crazy.
You had to clear the wave out, otherwise he was going to get that turret. But I'm pretty sure on this next push, he should be able to do it. I think Sharpie kind of knows that he's on a timer. He's probably pressing tab and seeing that 100 CS mark is very, very close. So he's got to do it on this wave, and if he doesn't, it's probably a win over to this Akali. Sharpie, he's going to go for it. Does have the
no way.
And there is the first turret, which means it's a dub for Sharpie. Yeah, I would also rage quit this one.
That's brutal.
That was not fair.
That's completely brutal. JB, you tried your best.
No disrespect to Sharpie, but like, other than hitting the turret, he lost in every other metric, right? that was so Akali favored until
I definitely
Sharpie,
didn't like betray himself and like let the first few waves come to him when clearly the Akali just had the movement.
Yeah,
the wave had the damage.
I think Sharpie just started hitting the turret and was just realized, oh wait a minute, I can just
hold up.
Yeah, just bash this one down and then GG. So well done to them.
Yeah, it's hopefully, you know, we did see some bans at the start. If Tryndamere is truly upsetting, we'll see a band away. You know, fingers crossed. We'll see some adaptation.
Tryndamere definitely doesn't look like that in the actual game. I will say.
It's the 0 damage Tryndamere strat right there.
Yeah.
Bringing it back.
Yep.
Well, if you get to NLC 1, 0 damage Tryndamere is on the playbook of a certain player, a certain player in Division 1. He's been playing Cho'Gath mostly there, which is fine. We'll see if Baus has to go down to his 4th or 5th champion sometime soon. Talking of 4th or 5th champions, we've had a brief look at the rosters for tonight. But are there any champions in Season 25 that we're looking for? Draft is around the corner. We've seen Skarner 100% everywhere. Ridiculous champion. What else are we on the way?
So I think personally for me, whilst Skarner is a fantastic pick, I think the response pick into that has been Wukong. It's been showing up. I think a lot of junglers have been talking about this champion and saying, you know, Skarner is broken, but if you want to carry from the jungle, you pick that Wukong and you can do so much damage. You get yourselves onto 2 items and you're basically one of the strongest champions in the game. So I'm waiting to see if that gets picked or banned away, as we are in draft already. And maybe for the knowledgeable 200 Bandits analyst here, you can talk to us about what you expect them to go for here.
I think Rengar will likely be banned away when we're looking at their new jungler. He is like, so this guy, from what I've heard, he is like in the EUS Rengar community. He is one of them. So
we go from like Wukong, which the top 2 players on the server are both Wukong mains. Incredible. They've been stuck up there for a week now. It takes so much adaptation to get around. Rengar. Like, you know, you can't do better than local League of Legends to be like, for them. This is where League is at right now. But watch out for Rengar.
Yeah.
If you're against Lunka, it's a watch out for Rengar angle. That's how I see it. I mean, Viego's also been banned away here. That's another jungler I for sure know they've been comfortable with. But I haven't, you know, I don't want to say too much because we'll have to see what Vertex goes for here.
You want to keep us in suspense? I'm in suspense. I'm in suspense.
Fair enough. I mean, the thing about junglers that specify into one champion is they probably practice other things in scrims, but you can't really scout that because it's not on their OPGG. So for 200 Bandits, they have that in their arsenal if they want to use that, and it's an advantage they have. Team Vertex, they have played in Division 1 before. A lot of their games will be available to scout and watch, so I think one advantage you do have coming from Division 2 is that you're an unknown quantity, and for Team Vertex that will be a slight disadvantage, but they do have red side, so
you'd say this, but we're without Sharpie. Wait, no, hold up. Sharpie is role swapped, so Sharpie was their previous jungler and is now playing top lane. We've got Heyo in the jungle for Team Vertex, and that's a Garen ban.
Yeah,
I respect it.
That roll swap's got to be going pretty good, Sharpie, to draw a Garen ban. Skarner hovered on the first lock, Wukong waiting in the wings.
It'll be interesting to see what Vertex do with this, because after winning that 1v1, they had side select, so they chose red side here, right? This is definitely a side they wanted to play. So I'm curious to see how they're going to approach this like last pick scenario, right? Because red side, you're going to choose that for the last pick, counter pick, likely going to be going towards the top side of the map, but they have options available, though I have seen other teams really favoring blue side more, so as the split goes on, it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how these 1v1 winners will choose side select going forward.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference between blue side and red side, as you touched on, is you save that R5 for counter pick. But weirdly enough, so far in the meta, top lane does get picked quite early on in the draft. I think traditionally you do save top lane R5, but I think now support R5 is a lot more valuable because whilst AD carries have, kind of been touted as the useless role in today's day and age, you pick a support, move him around the map, and you're getting all these objectives, which are super important in the meta right now. So that is why R5 is important, and I'm assuming that's why Team Vertex really wanted to ensure they got themselves that. They get themselves a safe AD carry, which kind of plays into the idea of a roaming support.
So before 200 Bandits secures their bot lane, do you want both your takes that, like, we've gone back to the AD carries that don't rely on anything meta? So we're back with our Jins, our Ezreals, mages are very strong. Fortune still draws a ban, though. So maybe we're sort of in a more flat plane.
I think right now, someone did tell me, I heard through the grapevine that it's like right now, if you're an AD carry, if you're not learning Ezreal, Jhin, or Kai'Sa, or some of these weak side AD carries where you can play safe, you're just playing the meta wrong. It's similarly with Mage's bot lane. If you've got that, it's a massive advantage. So yeah, it definitely is like a bot side. Let's just let that AD carry slowly scale. Weirdly enough, bot lanes.
We've got 2 AD carries and that Corki pretty favorable into Ezreal. Is it 2012 again? Am I still playing Corki Ezreal all the way back?
I think
Supports
so.
to come in, second round of bans, Heimerdinger is eternal. What's coming through?
That's the Vertex classic, though. I remember the Heimerdinger pick all the way back from their Div 2 lower bracket playoffs run. Like, Vertex and Heimerdinger, they just go hand in hand. I've seen this before. It's always caught people off guard. It was even like pick ban back then because it was just that respected. So I'm actually all for Vertex picking Heimerdinger in their first game. This can set the tone for their entire split. If they win dominantly with Heimerdinger, you won't see it again. Like, I am very ready to see how this pick goes off.
Wait till we see the Quinn. But Heimerdinger is a good blind, but there are really strong counters. I'm assuming the Syndra will be banned away because that's a really good pick in Heimerdinger. You can just pick up his favorite turrets and throw them away, so he doesn't really get to do what he wants to do. So so far, the comps are, I think you can kind of tell what Team Vertex are going for, as 200 Bandits still yet to be discovered with what they need to pick.
Right. No, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I like this kind of opportunity. The Urgot pick into Ornn is definitely something that works out. Loopy, the top laner from 200 Bandits, is for sure an Urgot enjoyer. This is a champion they've played a bit, so it's nothing they're going to be not excited about. And the matchup, it definitely works, but obviously the power of Ornn through scaling will be very, very interesting. One thing, though, Vertex haven't picked a jungler yet, and you can see this is being punished right away. Wukong, Rek'Sai, banned. What are you going to pick next? When you think about other strong junglers, Jarvan, perhaps, doesn't really work into Corki exactly. It's not going to be that kind of lockdown. So I'm curious to see what Vertex will pick as the jungler here, because as you said, you don't have to give last pick to top. Giving it to support is just as strong, so we'll have to see what pick they have up their sleeve, and it looks like Kayn will go through.
Yeah, okay. Kayn definitely going to sort of... You've got the Heimerdinger who sort of has that come at me, gets you in an awkward phase. The main character Kayn in competitive is do not engage, and that might set up some undesirable situations when Heimerdinger can hold a push in, and sort of have that control. Syndra, a classic counter for moving the turrets around, but I'm on the fence about this one, Salvanix.
Yeah, I mean, Syndra is decent into Heimerdinger, but to be fair to him, there's not that many major options, and they do need AP damage. The Orianna's banned out, the Victor's banned out, and so, in terms when you're thinking about other choices, there's possibly an Ahri, but then that struggles to get through the Ornn, so the Syndra does kind of make sense to me. I'm excited about the Kayn. I kind of understand it against the Skarner. It's quite easy to overseed his clear tempo on a champion like Kayn. You can do a Raptor start. You can go for Raptor invades as well. So there is that. Pretty curious to see how that one goes. Obviously, it could go south. Nautilus gets locked in. Just a bog standard Brexit support is a phrase that I coined last split. Just the classic engage, press the R button, knock up some people. So yeah, I like the comp from 200 Bandits.
All right. Hesitation, Dubby. Is it going to be Leona at the end of this?
We'll have to see. I mean, Ezreal is interesting because you want to play someone that can play the map, because Ezreal can be left behind. He doesn't exactly need anyone to keep him safe, and there you go. This guy's just too smart for his own good.
I've done this before.
He's done this before, exactly. I mean, Leona, perfect in this kind of situation. Someone that can move around the map, try and match any kind of roams from this Nautilus, and also just has a good engage that Ornn and Heimerdinger can easily follow off on as well. Works out really, really nicely, and I'm ready to see Ezreal and Corki being left alone in the bot lane while the rest of the team's fighting topside, and seeing how these AD carries play it out. They could just
might have a little 1v1 challenge.
They
might be able to join in with their the mid laner who played earlier. Little correction, did read from the wrong sheet. The Vertex roster unchanged as we showed it earlier on, actually. Great if I could remember what was in front of me. Leona, one of the few champions that can break Skarner's approach, because you can buffer the Q. You're a frustrating target. If you're locked down, you're not like Nautilus, who will suffer without the aftershock. Do you have a bit of innate tankiness yourself, and will stop Urgot and Corki moving around when you connect, which is, as we mentioned, something that dissuaded a Jarvan pick. I'm going to push you for predictions, gentlemen. Game 1 of Winter 25. We've got a lot of strong meta picks. We've got the eternal, undefeated Team Vertex Heimerdinger. How are we feeling?
Ooh, that is a great
it's
question.
A lot.
Undefeated, but I'm gonna base this off draft, because start of the split, I haven't seen any of these teams play just yet, and I'm slightly concerned for the damage level that Vertex can have if they don't get a lead in the early game. And so just based off that, I think 200 Bandits, much better, well-rounded team composition, threats all over the shop. They have a try-carry potential here, and so my vote is gonna go for 200 Bandits.
Dubby, you feeling similarly? You still in with the Div 2 brethren?
Listen, like, they're both Div 2 OGs. Vertex may be a bit longer running, and it's the Heimerdinger is great, but I'm sorry. Skarner Corki on the same team? It's Skarner Corki. Like, I don't doubt this man's Heimerdinger in any way, but when you see these champions let through, it's just too much right now. Skarner... What is it? Like, I've seen so many posts about the LEC over the weekend of just leaving Skarner open. You should be fired. So right now, I'm seeing Skarner left open and being picked. I'm sorry, 200 Bandits. If you don't win this game, I'm going to have a word with you. So I'm going there, side.
Strong feelings, the Scorpion Unleashed. Yeah, I like 200 Bandits as well. I'm enjoying the flavor from Team Vertex, but I think you're right. They have a reasonable amount of approach, but unless we get a really fed Red Cane, I don't know how you're playing through all 5 people. I don't know how Urgot's health bar goes missing. It's going to be a tough situation, unless it's, of course, the eternal Heimerdinger spinning the wheel.
Yeah, I can so imagine the draft conversation that happened here. You know, the coach is like, but they get Corki and Skarner, and then the guy's like, yeah, but I get my Heimerdinger. Like, are you serious? Is this even a conversation?
Have you seen my Heimerdinger? It's like, oh, yeah.
Bro, check out my win rate on it, and you know. So yeah, I mean, if he's got a point to prove, now's the best time to prove it. He's literally like, if we're going off numbers, this is not in his favor. So if he gets the win here, I think we're going to all eat our words, and we're going to have to start paying respect to that Heimerdinger.
Yeah, right.
Agreed.
While we are stalling briefly for the game to get underway, just before we go to a break, a reminder that we have 5 games per night now with 10 teams in the Four Nations tournament. And if you're not already following, over on twitch.tv/the UKEL2, we'll be broadcasting a 3rd game of the night. We're not there yet. It'll be simulcast with the 2nd game. Go and give that a follow. You'll find me and Dubby on over there after the pre-game for Game 2. And you can do that in this short break. We'll see you in a minute.
Welcome back, everybody, as we are just about getting ready to get on into game 1 of day 1 of week 1 of a brand new Four Nations. I am Brack, that is Bloxer, and, well, it is our sublime honor to bring you these first 2 games on the main stream, at least. And Max, I love the conflict that was in Dubby. It was 2 Div 2 teams that have come up to Div 1. Head versus heart. I have to commend him for going with his head there, but yeah, kind of criminal to let the Skarner through.
Yeah, just a little bit. The pick's been looking monumentally strong recently, and especially in this composition that they've managed to put together alongside it, right? It's not like you've just got the Skarner and all of these other picks are sort of B tier, C tier. This whole composition is built of incredibly strong champions, and I think specifically I'm looking at the Urgot right here as a champion that's very risky in and of itself, but paired with a Skarner gets made so much less worrisome, especially into this Ornn matchup. Ornn has a little bit of survivability, a little bit of an ability to get away, but versus a Skarner and an Urgot, I don't think you're going to be able to survive that lane matchup if you want to gank into there. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with the desk. I think 200 Bandits just had the slightly stronger draft overall, but I'm excited to see if Vertex can make this, I think, more interesting composition work.
It's standard versus spice. We'll see if Mike's Heimerdinger was, worth it. I mean, 100% win rate, right? We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. And we were talking as the draft was going through about this Kayn as well.
Yes.
That picked up for Heyo. I mean, he kind of has to have a Heyo performance for this to really be worthwhile, because even going Rust, he's not going to be as tanky as a Skarner. And also, he doesn't have the best path to even go Rust, considering it's Skarner and Nautilus, the 2 melee champions.
Yeah, it's such a tricky kind of
turbo
game
gank top lane?
Here. I guess
is that
you
the world
try.
we live in?
You can try. Just go top lane on repeat. Try to potentially draw the Skarner up there. Give yourself a little bit freer of a lane elsewhere. The thing is, both Syndra and Heimerdinger do a ton of damage, but are they really going to be wanting to fight each other specifically? There is potential for solo kills, but you have to misstep rather than that being a particularly explosive matchup in and of itself. Same kind of thing with Ezreal and a Corki matchup, right? Those are champions that certainly can fight each other, but how much are you really expecting that in the early game?
We'll see what the junglers look to prioritize. I did think it's very much going to be on them and the supports. They've got some go buttons as well. I've just been informed that we are ready to get onto the Rift for our first game of the new year, as we are greeted by the frogs.
Missed this. I've missed this. I've missed seeing
the little flyovers. There we are. Welcome to Summoner's Rift for the first time of a 2025 Four Nations. Awkward. Apart from that, though, not too much to write about. You can see Loopy being a little bit cheeky towards the top side. Maybe could see put some damage down onto the Ornn of Sharpie, although right now... Production, where is Sharpie on the Rift right now? I don't actually see him. Oh, never mind. He's walking up in the wave. The caster box was obscuring him slightly.
He has.
So unfortunately for Loopy. Yeah, unfortunately not going to be able to get away with that one. We'll just have to go to lane as standard. For the most part, yes, nothing to write about. Opposite jungle starts, however. Worth noting. Ah, okay. Thank you for that, production. A little bit of a early invade attempt. Nothing came of it, really. Yeah, and the Ornn will just make his own way back to the lane.
And I think throughout this early game, we really need to focus in just a little bit onto these junglers, right? We've already spoken about the Skarner and briefly mentioned the Kayn, but I think the Kayn really is the important bit. I think it's the linchpin right here of what Vertex have tried to draft for themselves. Because if this Kayn is popping off, if you're incredibly far ahead, you're able to constantly be stealing camps away from this Skarner, all of that's going well for you, wonderful. I think this pick can work really well. But as we've discussed, it's very difficult to get this champion into that state. We think he wants a red Kayn. I think that's definitely true. Blue Kayn could potentially work. You could maybe attempt to just assassinate onto the Syndra, onto the Corki, but, it would be pretty tricky. No.
Then, because of course the desk talked about Atakan, but he doesn't come in until 20 minutes. And as you saw on that overlay, we've got feats of strength to deal with.
Yeah.
First blood, first tower, 3 epic monsters. Reminder, because I got this wrong. It's a full set of grubs to count as 1 point, not 3 grubs secured, which was how I initially interpreted it. You have to get all 3 of the grubs for it to count as a point. In terms of picking that up, do you think that one team has an advantage in that regard?
I think potentially in that first blood situation, I'm really going to be looking at these junglers. It makes you want to play a little bit safer in your individual lane matchups. As we've discussed, there is potential go buttons in the bot lane. The supports can try to get aggressive, but how much do you really want to risk it? Yeah, it's hard to go in like that, especially something like the Leona. You go in, you are in. You have very few disengage tools as that champion. Versus a Nautilus as well, it's a little bit of a matchup where you want to be the second person to press your buttons because it makes your CC last a little bit longer. It gives you a little bit more of a decision-making time before you get just taken out potentially. Although, you know, not early game mass amounts of damage out of something like the Ezreal. The Corki does a little bit more. So I'm not sure which of these lanes individually are really going to result in solo kills for us. Maybe top lane, but it really is again going to be on these junglers. And Kayn early game, before you get either blue or red, doesn't do a lot in a gank. You can get into ganks in interesting ways, you know, through the walls, make your gank pathing a little bit fun, but you get there, you apply a small slow, a bit of damage, and that's about it. And these top laners are very tanky. These mid laners do like to play quite far back in their lanes and have CC to try to get away with setting up in their lane a little bit more if they want to.
The one hilarious thing, though, about the Kayn I find is that, as someone who's played quite a lot of jungle, I don't prioritize it this split, but it's this year. But a lot of people underestimate how good Kayn can be in 1v1s in the jungle in the early game. He actually is kind of stat checky against, like, depending on what champion you're playing. And even without form, he can do
him versus Skarner though.
Yes, no, I think Skarner's one of the champions that can probably just kind of brush him off.
Yeah.
But it is something that is often understated about the champion, that they can actually, you know, doesn't have to be kind of a non-factor until he gets level 6 or form.
Yeah, and also stealing away camps, another big way to try to get yourself ahead in this matchup. We'll have to see, obviously, if he's going to be able to do that. And in terms of picking up the rest of these feats, the first blood one, very tricky. Getting those 3 objectives, I think, again, I'm looking at that being a 200 bandits advantage too. I think they're going to find it a little bit easier to fully push their waves out and go to help out the jungle. A slightly tankier jungle is also just helpful in terms of going to pick yourself up these objectives. And it's very interesting with having to get all 3 of the grubs as well. I think that increases the amount that you're going to want to go to contest those grubs. Usually you're not too worried about allowing that first set to just go over, but if you can steal 1 away, that just removes something from the board, makes it a little bit easier. Kayn obviously is great at trying to nick stuff away, can get over the wall very easily. Not something Skarner struggles with too much either. Very mobile junglers in this game.
Yeah, Ishtar's Impact, and I was going to say Umbral Trespass, but that's Kayn's ultimate.
That's his ult.
The shadowy wall thingy. Everyone knows what it is. Yeah,
Shadow
good
step?
means of getting...
Shadow step.
Who knows?
Something.
I certainly don't. But yes, as you were saying, both junglers do have good means of getting in for sort of drive-by steals on grubs. So it might be difficult for these teams to at least get those stack-ups specifically off of the grubs.
Yeah, and so we are really looking at who's going to pick themselves up a potential first turret then as something we can actually look at. Mid lane, I don't think you're going to get shoved in too far by either of these. Bot lane, if you do get aggressive, you can force someone out. Bot lane tower, a little bit squishier, potentially could be a pickup, but I think if you can get a kill onto this Urgot, that's the place in which the towers can really begin to fall. Urgot can just maul through towers once he gets a little bit of an advantage, and we were already hoping to potentially see the Skarner heading up into that top lane as a way to really try to play this one out for 200 bandits. That could be a good place to try to get yourself that first blood and then start taking down those turret platings.
Alrighty, we are back in onto the Rift. Coming back through at around the 90-second mark. And we can see It's a pretty silent start, I'm going to be entirely honest. But you can see, these bot lanes can be quite explosive. Obviously, people who might have missed a little bit of a while, Corki has gone from that kind of snooze fest mid laner to a bot laner that can really put the hurt on. Just starting with the Gatling gun, as you see there, and walking forwards and auto-wing, shreds a lot of resistances and can do quite a lot of damage. They are seemingly electing to be a little bit more cautious. In fact, Elendil, able to land the hook, the level 2 coming through first. Neck already taking a chunk of damage. Kakashi trying to obscure his carry from further attempts. He should be able to pick up the wave just nice and safely. You can see that Heyo already got the level 3 here. Knowing that the Skarner is starting on the top side, has got the slightly faster clear. Looks like it might want to try and get in, steal something away.
This is what you have to be doing.
Yeah, getting those Krugs taken away would be a pretty big deal. Also means that he's got the inside line on potentially doing something bot lane. There is still all of that Leona CC, there's an Ignite, there's all of that. That said though, Lunkathor now showing himself towards the bot side. W doesn't quite land in, but the Skarner damage is considerable. Hey,
What did we
gonna have
say?
to get out over the wall. You have to chase out.
What did we say, Brack, about how, yes, you do a surprising amount of damage on this Kayn, but not into a Skarner. Skarner does so much and is just that bit tankier than you in the early game as well. This champion is a little bit broken. The desk was not lying when they talked about this being left through as a potentially very questionable decision for Vertex. You can see it already, but it was still a steal away of those Krugs. It does give you a little bit of an advantage right now as Harry Carey, and you've still got your full top side to be able to go and clear up. He's put himself in a very good spot during the early game. Nothing that's insurmountable, nothing really to write home about, but it is a good start, and especially for the champion that is so key to what Vertex are looking to do in this game, it's good to see it have a good early game.
That it is. Of course, it is going to slow down his early clear a little bit, and in fact, we see him foregoing his own Krugs. In fact, sneaking his way towards mid lane right now. There is a good amount of mana been expended. In fact, Lunkathor is going to show up again. Heyo is leveled up, but the level 4 gets hit by the Skarner, and in fact, Heyo is being forced to run away. There is a flash available. He gets caught towards the wall. Lunkathor is just going to turn it into a jungle solo kill to start this one up, and yeah, you got a pickaxe on the back, but it did not help you out in that scenario, and Faulty having to burn both flash and barrier.
This is going from bad to worse in this early game. When we were looking through the individual matchups, the 1v1s, the 2v2s, we forgot that potentially the first blood could come through in the jungle. And this is the worry. The Kayn, it just doesn't do a lot in the early game at all. It doesn't provide a lot to gank. It doesn't give you a lot of options to try to play individually. You can go and steal away camps, but the second that this Skarner pops up, Lunkathor just walks up. That was a nice solo kill, but it wasn't particularly interesting. It was just being walked at. And the Kayn, despite being as mobile as it is, still wasn't able to get away. Did save the flash at least, but yeah, just a rough start. And hey, we just spoke about how it was good to see that Harry Carey was stealing away a couple camps. Things get flipped pretty much immediately.
Turned around very, very quickly by Lunkathor. Now, Heyo looking towards the bottom side. There is a level disadvantage for Kakashi here, but of course, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference for the Leona, who's now looking to step forward. It's the stun onto Kenny, though. Does have the flash available as well. Going to be able to hook forwards. The damage is there, but it's not paired up. And so, Kenny takes some damage, Elendil takes some damage, but no summoners had to be expended.
No, they didn't lose anything for that play right there, Tundra Bandits. You've now got your jungler in the area as well, so if they continue to push up Vertex bot lane, they could expose themselves to a counter gank. For right now, seems like it is going to be okay, but you don't even lose that much health. Elendil lose a little bit, but still is relatively fine. And again, it was Harry Carey being very squishy on that initial engage. It left him very vulnerable to getting turned upon, and you had to pull that play off. No ability to try dive. Still, you do get a little bit of pressure, should be able to push this wave in for Vertex's bot lane, get a reset off. You can see right now, with the pickaxe in inventory, Harry Carey does a decent amount of damage, but he's very squishy, not going to be able to stand up to this.
Doesn't get stunned up by JB, trying to get over the wall.
Oh,
no, his flash has failed as well. And Lunkathor picked that one up. with Heyo down. That's just a straight up 3 grubs. First blood already picked up the engage from Kikachi. Elendil's able to get away. Nothing burned right now. Still trying to step forward. The flash forwards from Kikachi. Neck trying to get the damage down, but skill shots towards Kenny aren't going to matter all that much. Kikachi able to survive for a little while. Neck jumps forward, but he cancels the auto attack and dies to the turret. Kikachi now looking to turn this one around as Mike will make his way in. The Heimerdinger. No flash, no ignite, no nothing. Kenny is just on the run.
Yeah,
It ain't South Park. He's not coming back so easily. Kikachi will be able to tank that one up thanks to the Aftershock. And the kill will be handed across to Mike. Heyo shows up in the mid lane to secure the wave just so JB can't get more than a single plate.
Like you said, that is gonna be a nice, quick grab of kills and an objective. Things going very, very well for 200 Bandits. Obviously, bot lane, the fighting doesn't go quite as well as you would have wanted. Could potentially have been able to pull back, try to just get that kill onto Never Give Up, who'd stepped quite far forwards. Isn't the way that it works out, obviously. And instead, you end up with a couple kills now, sat on top of this Skarner, doing very, very well for themselves. Vertex, they are going to be able to respond, at least pick themselves up this Hextech Drake. Obviously, Hextech Drakes individually are great to get, even beyond the feat of strength that gives you. They're able to get away from that one pretty easily, although this looks like it's going to be a bit of an invade.
Lunkafer's already looking to make his way forwards. Ishtal's impact cancels the Hex Splash out. Kikachi is not going to survive that. Heyo tries to get some damage down with the Umbral Trespass, but he's not able to kill Kenny. The Ignite ticking down will not be enough. JB is coming across. Faulty actually accosts him in so doing. The Impale is available for Lunkafer. I don't know if he's going to try and commit it. It does, and will force the flash out from Faulty. So Dragon goes across to Vertex. 200 make it pay for it as Loopy coming out the top lane and grinds him to dust. Another kill picked up. The movements coming out in 200 Bandits are really making this so painful for Vertex.
They really are, and as soon as I saw the Skarner coming out of base with 2 Giants belts, it felt like it was going to be a pretty rough one to try to get anything done. Obviously, Faulty does so much damage with this Heimerdinger. This champion absolutely shreds, and you saw, really couldn't step up with the Syndra, but it doesn't matter versus this Skarner, and I love that Loopy decides to come along, get involved. Also just helps out with getting a little bit closer to those item breakpoints, at which point the Urgot is also terrifying. And we were talking about the Kayn, how it was risky, how it was something we really needed to see get things going early on. Well, 0-3-0 down by 20 CS is not exactly the start we were hoping for.
Sharpie feeling very confident about the 1v1, however, no flash on Luffy. The knockup comes through. It's buffered with the Disdain though, so I'm not able to follow that one up. I feel like if Sharpie had pulled the trigger just that little bit sooner, that might have made the difference, but looking at his mana, perhaps still not able to turn the one around. Kikachi is not going to let Elendil recall so brazenly. That delay could cost him a few CS here and there.
Not going to be quite the ideal situation. Still, things at this point, 10 minutes into the game, got about a 3,000 gold lead to 200 Bandits. They are ahead in terms of these feats of strength, having gotten that first blood. And everybody is one apiece with the objectives. Next thing to spawn will be another set of grubs. And it looks
less
like
than
for
a
the
minute for that.
Yeah, 200 Bandits have got a lot of people in the area, although I'm not sure if Lunkafer is going to want to just sit around and wait for this one. There's a little bit of damage being put back and forth between these two, and in terms of who's strong, I mean, that is a Heartsteel already completed. Actually, over the wall has Hex Flash.
Can I find the follow-up, though? JB seems to read it. He's playing pretty safely. Kikachi getting the level 6, trying to come over the wall. The CC might just be too much. Yeah. Wow. Overcharging the rockets, and Faulty will be able to secure that without much ado.
Nice quick kill, really like that. That's one of the best things that you can do with this Leona, although it looks like Lunkafer is not worried about having lost that mid.
I would be a little bit worried. There is numbers. Ishtal's impact is going to allow him to get to safety as the grubs are being started up. You see, Kenny has already moved up, trying to make space. And Heyo's been kind of left out. He's going to have to jump over the wall. The TP now coming through from JB also. This might just be a full 6 grubs that have to be given over. You see Heyo still looking for the angle forwards. The stun doesn't quite land. The hook doesn't quite land either. The 200 Bandits, they don't actually care about that all that much because that's all of Vertex's members being forced all the way out of that topside river.
And this is just such an interesting situation where you've got a 3v4. You should have the advantage right now. Not a lot of damage really available to you either between the champions available to 200 Bandits in that fight, and yet they're still able to step up, push people away. It's the tankiness and the damage that this Skarner is able to provide. The desk so very right in highlighting this champion as a key factor in the outcome of this game. You see turret plating also going over right here to JB, also has got the support of his teammates around him to make sure he's going to be safe in pushing up this far. Needs to be a little careful, potentially. Did die earlier to Kakashi. But still, things going very, very well right here for the 200 Bandits. They just need to get themselves one more neutral objective to be able to pick themselves up this one. Yeah, they are in a great spot in this game.
Alternatively, I feel like they can kind of chill a bit. Their tower pressure is great. They could look to go, oh, well, then you want to take another Drake? Sure, it's a cloud. We don't worry about it too much. And instead, we're going to try and take all of this actual gold off of the rift before those plates drop.
Let's see, will Vertex try to respond to this play right here? Do have jungler in the area, but no teleports available, so Sharpie's not going to be able to get involved. Liquid already stepped down to try to at least provide support if needed. Looks like it's not even going to be needed. Monka is just going to be soloing this one up. Who is around? Gets jumped,
burst! Elendil might not be in the best of scenarios, though. Heyo has to flash away.
Wait,
Tries
why?
to get the damage down, but gets pulled back through the wall. Barrier will keep Elendil alive, and it's been leashed by Kenny as well. So they can just walk right on back. There's still a smite available, and that will be the feats of strength secured for the sides of 200 Bandits as well. I appreciate the gumption, I appreciate the commitment from Heyo, but time and again, there's just not been the follow-up, and he's getting close, but just unable to actually make something materialize.
Absolutely, and right now 200 Bandits, our promotees from Division 2, are running the rift. They are just in such a strong position, even beyond the draft. I love the way that this team is moving around. That little leash is just so nice. Hang on, bit of a fight block.
I mean, they tried to engage on Elendil, and they'll be able to put a decent amount of damage down, but unable to secure. Again, the Valkyrie just allows you to play so, not carelessly, but brazenly, should we say. Be able carry on.
I was just gonna say, we haven't even gotten to the... Oh, okay, never mind. Bye-bye, Faulty.
07.
Yeah, this one is turning rough right now. We haven't even gotten to the point at which we're fighting around any of these big objectives. Right, Rift Herald is going to be spawning soon. That's at least something, but right now
that's
we're
a good
basically
reminder.
Just watching Lungfo wander around and get fighting. Yeah, I wonder which of the
The Atakan.
Which of the Atacans we're getting?
I believe it's 15 kills at 14 minutes to cause the Ruinous Atakan. That has not happened, and I think most of the time in this sort of environment, you're not going to get enough kills for Ruinous. So we have Voracious set up, which means the 2.5 minute GA effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
that's the thing that kind of came to mind. It's like, it's basically every solo queue game is going to be Ruinous, and every pro game is going to be Voracious.
Yes, and unfortunately, Voracious is something that pro teams can just use better. We're already watching 200 Bandits play around each other so well, make these fights work so very effectively, and give them an extra buff as well. Could be huge. Obviously, if Vertex can pick that one up at 20 minutes, that would be huge for them. That would be a great way to get back into this game, but it just seems a little bit out of reach right now to expect a team that has yet to win a team fight to be able to do so around such an important buff. So we've got first items coming through at this point. Eclipse now in the back pocket of Heyu. We're gonna have, I think, a death count. Is that?
They're really committing. JB flashes straight away, though. They're going to try and turn this one round onto Pikachu. Depth charge coming through. And good
TP
damage
as well.
onto JB. They should be able to finish this one up. It is Heyo who picks it up. They're still tanking turret though. Sharpie comes through. Neck gonna be able to take down Kenny, and it's Sharpie who picks up the aggro after the teleport. I don't know if that was intentional, but it's a beautiful tower dive. And Vertex turning it around quite nicely.
Indeed they do, but they're going to lose a kill into the mid lane right here. Faulty goes down. That's going to be the 6th kill of the game for them.
I won't faulty
this
him for that,
Skarner
though.
Popping off. Now, Faulty needed to try and get something done, had been abandoned by everybody else on the map as they'd all gone bot lane. But still, it's just indicative of the way that this game is going. Nothing for free for Vertex right now. They lose the top lane tier 1 tower as well, and it feels like every time they try to get something done in this game, 200 Bandits, they're just a step ahead.
One or more. Yes, I agree with that. Kakachi will walk out into the jungle and see Lunksfire taking another jungle camp. But you can see simply from the way that the map is set, the amount of vision that has already been placed deep into the Vertex jungle by 200 Bandits. They feel very comfortable in this situation. They're looking to continue pushing their advantage. Obviously, it's a couple of minutes yet before we see Atakan on the Rift.
Drake, though.
Yep, 45 seconds on that.
Really soon.
Faulty. A little bit,
Might live? Yeah.
does just about survive. Not landing the stun onto JB, but there is the rusted Heyo, who now might just be able to turn this one forwards. Cancels out the depth charge and the healing that comes through. He'll survive for a little while as Kakachi now coming forward to turn this one around. Remember, Ras known for so much healing. Elendil gonna be able to pick this one up. Kakachi still on the chase. Kenny flashing to try and save his carry. Lunkafor gonna look to extend the play also as Neck coming through as well. Faulty gonna get melted by the Heartsteel. It's an absolute Barney towards the bottom side. Neck in the complete middle of nowhere. I think he was trying to find Elendil. Goes over the wall though, runs straight into Kenny, and will give the shutdown over to the Corki, and another objective laid bare for 200 Bandits to secure.
And now with your jungler dead, there's nothing to be done right here for Vertex. They're just going to have to watch this Drake go on over. Only the 2nd Drake for either team, so not the end of the world. We're still very far away from Soul being a big factor in this game, but there's other things to worry about. Specifically, you've got just about 40 seconds, right, until Atakan's going to be spawning, and you haven't won a team fight yet. That one that looked so close, honestly, it was played really well by the Vertex members that were there. I also really like to see the True Shot Barrage come on through in that fight as well. But you're just so far behind that it felt like a bit of a wallet diff. I just didn't have enough damage to be able to finish off any of these kills. And down 6,000 gold at just 20 minutes into the game, that is not surprising.
Neck caught and locked out of existence. Your free trial of life has expired. Elendil will pick that one up. And I want to correct a little statement there. It doesn't feel like wallet diff. 2 items completed on Loopy, 2 items completed on Lunkafar, 2 items completed on JB, 2 items there on Elendil, and the only 2 item completion that we've got is Neck on this Ezreal. Elsewhere on the Rift, there are notable item disparities. We're at the 20-minute mark. We are over a 7k gold diff, and they're already knocking on the doors of the inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, they can just keep
His
going.
body's just not here to defend. Elendil can easily avoid the True Shot Barrage. Sharpie is looking for something, but they can't really find their mark. Kenny able to step away, will survive for a good long time as well. Now comes Heyo over the backside, out for blood. Call the Forge God coming through. Sharpie uses it specifically to commit onto Loopy, who then flashes away. Kenny will eventually drop. It's Neck who picks up the kill. Heyo still lurking,
They're
searching.
losing a bot lane tier 2 tower.
They are.
This is
Elendil
happening.
should be the price that is also paid. The flash from Kakachi will secure that
Does he get the
one.
kill back?
Walks away, and another kill handed over. A big shutdown to Neck on the Ezreal. But as you say, that tier 2 secured by Lunkafar and JB towards the bottom side. The gold lead persists, but it's nice to see Vertex are still swinging.
And W1D. They are finding ways into this game, and it's slim pickings to try to find kills right now. Still, they're able to at least get a couple back. Shutdowns were big as well, like you said. And you do also stop a potential 20-minute start-up of Atakan. You've now got to take those full resets. Elendil still dead. It's going to be up in a little bit, though, and you can see a lot of members around. Loopy, no teleport available, and is pushing up towards the top side. Very interesting that we're not seeing a fight on spawn right here off the buff. That's kind of been the main way that this has gone so far.
It's going to be a few seconds, I imagine, before 200 Bandits feel to start this one up. The vision is pretty darn solid for them. Vertex were not able to set up much to try and protect themselves should it come to pass. Kakachi steps forward, going to get that Celestial opposition removed, stunned up in turn. Elendil just going to look to run him down. Heyo is there to protect. TP coming through from Sharpie here as Vertex
damage to start, though.
Will look to group up. And yeah, with one of the main engage options now at 25% health, should be very easy if 200 Bandits want to start this one up. But it does seem like they really want to get a proper pick first, and Nikarios might just be that. The Ezreal trying to jump out and away is safe for a little while. Kakachi will get taken down. 200 Bandits still looking for a target. Loopy not quite able to get a kill with the Fear Beyond Death as Guitarist survives with Pixels. In fact, the Urgot will be just left out to dry, is traded back by Vertex, but with low health bars, with a dead support, it looks like 200 Bandits will not be deterred.
Oh, but Vertex, they feel comfortable enough to step back up. The fact that Loopy is now gone makes this a little bit of an easier fight.
Cooldowns down, though.
Less support.
Heyo needs to try and get in. Lunkafa immediately steps off of it towards Sharpie. The flash forwards will be able to dodge away from the stun into the Humble Trespass. Lunkafa, though, will knock down Sharpie. Now he's trying to do the damage, but the healing isn't enough. He's on his own, trying to contest an objective that he frankly has no right contesting. Now Mike is going to walk forwards. The respawn, Nek and Kakachi looking to come in. Loopy has just respawned. Now teleporting in is the Urgot as Nek gets caught up against the wall. Lunkafa again able to find his mark. Flashing forwards. This front line looking to continue the rundown. Kakachi gets caught forwards. Elendil feels emboldened enough. On 25% health to jump in. And the runaway is simply run down by 200 Bandits. That will be an ace. They haven't taken Atakan yet, but who really cares?
I don't think that they can right now, but like you said, it's just a buff you've got on house money at this point. I guess the only interesting factor here is that 40 seconds time and there will be a Baron on the Rift. Those two, very rare to have on the Rift at the same time. Also got a dragon to potentially fight around, so there is a lot to play for on the map. But it just feels like if you're 200 Bandits, that's great, because every single second that Vertex are drawn in and having to fight around you, nearby where you are at, that is what you're looking for. That is absolutely perfect. They're going to head on down towards Atakan, pick this one up with no contest this time around. And that's going to be a huge buff for a team who's already been winning these fights without a lot of casualties.
And the timing is pretty crucial, in fact, as there is the Baron spawn, but it is, had it spawned a little bit sooner, then Vertex would have more time to work with it. Look as they are trying to knock this down. Kakachi is basically the sole roadblock as 200 Bandits sprint in. Call the Forge God coming across. They will be able to secure the Baron, but how many of them will be able to get out from this? Heyo trying to survive as long as possible. Sharpie is tanky, but not tanky enough, especially when a Fear Beyond Death is got your name on it. Heyo, you can try and heal, but the CC and the simple burst coming out from Elendil is too much to handle. It will be Heyo and Sharpie dropping down. Now 3 people left and awaiting for these waves to be pushed in. They are Baron-empowered waves, but they're getting melted all the same. Sharpie to try and put some damage down, but it is turned around in spades by JB. Kakachi is going to get taken out as well. Nectarios is being forced underneath the turrets, gets impaled, won't get taken down just yet, but with 10 seconds on Heyo, 10 seconds on Sharpie, and with the voracious Atakan buff, 200 Bandits have absolutely nothing to fear.
They can Just keep stepping on fours. They are pretty low health at this point, but the towers are melting. Good knock-up out of Sharpie, but it doesn't matter, right? These are free
getting poked down.
recalls that you can take. Just get your turrets too if you want them. In fact, 3 members right here of 200 Bandits are just gonna walk away, and they've still got another Drake that they can pick up for themselves on the way back into the base. Empowered super minions pouring into the base right here, and Vertex, this game, it felt like they were never quite in control of it, but it has seriously slipped away from them in the last 5 minutes.
It's a saving grace for them, I think, that some members of Vertex hold on to the Baron. In fact, it's only Nectarios, I think, that is holding on to the Baron buff. So whether he is, the waves will last a little bit longer. Not enough for it to matter, I don't think, but it's something. They can hold on for a while longer. How much longer? I'm really not sure, though.
No, I think that this game is going to be
8-0-10, 3 items, nigh unkillable. I don't think even with the Atakan making any difference at all, I simply think Vertex, that if they want to put enough damage down to commit to killing him, they'll have nothing left in the tank to deal with the entire rest of 200 Bandits.
Yeah, exactly. It really is just the tankiness and the damage of Logan Power that is pulling this 200 Bandits team through. The rest of them are no slouches either, and the final remaining outer turret is going to fall very, very quickly. You see all 6 of the grubs working alongside. Like you said, there's still a couple of those quick resets.
Oh, you can't get caught like that. Ezreal walled up and will be taken down in short order. Lunkafar goes legendary. Some kills are being traded back. Heyo trying to do what he can, but again, he is stuck in amongst... I mean, he's caught between a rock and 5 different hard places. Yep. All of them being the members of 200 Bandits. Kikachi is left alive, but it will not mean a thing. Respawning Nexus turrets will also not matter, as the Nexus will drop in short order, and 200 Bandits will be the winners of the first game of the Winter Split.
And what a way to kick off this 4 Nations tournament right there. That was an incredibly fun battle. If you're not a Vertex fan, probably didn't feel so good if Vertex is the team that you're rooting for, but it was bloody, it was fast-paced, and it sort of played out the way we were expecting, right? Pretty much everybody going into this game had a few questions about the Kayn, liked the look of the Heimerdinger, but really liked the whole draft out of 200 Bandits. It looked like a cohesive draft. They played it in a cohesive and very well executed manner. And obviously, it's way too soon to really begin to assigning rankings to these teams, but I liked a lot of what I just saw out of the 200 Bandits.
Very solid performance. And a cautionary tale. Skarner, really, really good. Do not let. If you are on blue side, pick it. If you are on red side, ban it. Okay, cool. This has been your PSA. I don't want to have to repeat it. Speaking of repeat, though, well, we have more games coming up. We are going to throw it across to... I've forgotten if we're throwing it... Yes, thank you, production. I flailed for a second. We are going to throw it to a break. Then we'll throw it to the desk to break down that game. And then, of course, for game 2, we will have the simulcast of 2 games across the 2 different streams. Don't miss it. Be back in a few moments' time.
welcome back. That's game 1 done. Congratulations, 200 Bandits. I think we favored them out of draft and played out pretty well. Unlucky that Faulty's Heimerdinger was not able to do it on the day. Once again, not an upset victory there, but never mind. We'll see the next corner of that strategy in the next game. Dubby, that felt pretty good. We highlighted some bits about Articon in the backstage. There was also a pretty sad situation for Grey Kane.
Yeah, I mean, you can see this guy. They did not get their form until very, very late. I think we counted till 17 minutes or something. So it was for sure a struggle. And you know what? I don't have much to say besides just touch on what Brack said. I don't want to see Skarner again. Thanks. That's it. Keep him away from me.
Big tool there that could have made that game a lot easier to play. But we love the creativity. Sometimes you do have to bring those special champions. And while Sovanix sorts his autofocus out, we're going to talk about one of the rebuilds coming into this split. Venom Crest have dropped the Serpent moniker and now represent their team by its full name in the Four Nations, and if you've watched the preview for 2026, you'll have a reasonable idea why. Sovanix, forget your autofocus. Talk
working.
to me about the Venom Crest roster.
Yeah, so if you're a UKL enjoyer, you're not going to know many of these names, but if you watch the NLC or some of the higher leagues, that is where you'll recognize these names. Aaron Camara both have NLC experience, and I'm talking about players that weren't necessarily, at the top tier of the ERLs, but standard, very solid ERL players. With the elimination of Division 2 of the NLC, these guys have now come down. And, Camara was a mid laner in his time, has moved to the jungle role, which is kind of the question mark that people have on this team. But you are surrounded by talent, experience, and firepower. There's Rhythm, Sniller in the bot lane, both as well. Grandmaster, AD carry, Challenger support, Challenger multi-time in the mid lane and jungle, even though he is off-role, and Bust, part of the UKL before, I believe. I think he has won it before.
Winner on LCA.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's not much else to say other than a lot of people who know these names are looking at this team and saying, this is the team to beat.
Absolutely. It is so nice to have Scottish Faker back on home soil, even if he's more recently played support and then jungle. Rise, Dubby! They finally made it through to Division 1. This team has had a slugfest to get here.
Yep.
And while we do have a substitute in the marksman position, AD carry won't be bloody today. This is a team to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Rise, if you know them, they've been in Div 2 since the start, and they finally got to their goal, which was Div 1. And they've made a pretty decent roster changes. Shmion and Scooby were their staple players in Div 2, and they've stuck around. Cardinal and Zeltsam, though, are two of their new tryouts. Zeltsam from the German scene is a very fun jungler to watch. This guy, he plays jungle differently. He is not meta. He will do something weird, so keep your eye out for him. He's currently a Yorick one-trick in the jungle, just for reference, and I think he peaked top 2 Yorick in the world this split so far with his win rate. Just be ready for Zeltsam.
I have watched lots of YouTube clips, and I did not realize it's probably Zeltsam, because it's like, Yorick dominates EU West ladder, and it's in the jungle. I'm just like, it's like the lethality one-shot thing. He mixes it up a little bit. There's some really cute item choices. It's great to see such mastery on a champion when you get to that stage where it's like, actually, I'm going to make this item work. You get to put it through. It just looks fantastic. We do have the 1v1. We do have draft around the corner. We're trying real hard to stay on schedule. But I'm so excited to see these two. We're going to draft, and it's going to be in just a minute. So while we're stalling, we will be seeing another creative jungler on the red side, whether it's Kane again, to spoil the outcome of the 1v1, because we will see the draft on the screen. Rise did win this. Cardinal in the mid lane took on Air. So between the mid laners, Rises came out on top. I wouldn't necessarily have predicted that, I'll be honest.
Well, actually...
Cardinal sounds pretty good.
I know a bit about Cardinal myself. Now, whilst Air is a challenger player, so is Cardinal. He's been challenged before in multiple roles. I remember seeing a screenshot at one point of Cardinal's screen. I think I can't remember if it was a stream or something, but he had in his friend list he had like Febivin and a bunch of all these other pros, and I was like, what, how do you know them? It's like, oh, I just played against them in solo queue. And it's like, you don't really get added unless you performed well in that solo queue game, right? And so you got to give some props to this Cardinal guy. I know what he's about. I think I'm excited to see him perform in the Division 1. Not many people are rating him, but I think he can show up good, and I guess we'll see what he did in the 1v1, because I'm impressed that he beat Air.
It's pretty fantastic. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Cardinal's been role swapping a lot too. He tried out as far as one 80 carry jungle and jumped into mid because that was the position Rise was looking for. So big kudos. This guy, like so
multi-role
talent. Yes.
Holy moly! Right, you've both warned me about Seltzer. And there's a niddly blue one ban. I can't say I've seen that much respect for a hot minute. If Rise Gaming are gonna hit on Chimera, I guess we're just gonna see Skarner remove the strongest things out of the jungle. Anything else you'd want to see gone?
Maybe some of the more traditional jungle picks where an off-role player might take up, like the Jarvan. I think this is a common jungler that if you are swapping to the jungle role, this is something you kind of learn at the start. You pick this up, everyone kind of knows how to play it. If you get off-role to jungle, this is probably what you end up picking. So maybe that. I do think, though, in terms of the Yorick cheese jungle pick, against more experienced players, I'm not sure if it'll work as effectively as against the less experienced.
It does tend to be that sort of Venus flytrap situation where you're in, it's already too late. But
I gotta disagree though. I feel because you don't know. Like, have you ever played against Yorick jungle? How does it play? Like, it's the kind of thing that you'll play against it once to maybe get the hang of it, but it's something that the first time you play against it, you just won't know what to expect unless you've seen it before. So I feel like it's got like that one-time Andy pick going for it.
It plays kind of like Morgana jungle, which I'll admit is my OTP, and we'll stop talking about it as soon as it's not relevant. But you hold people at range, and then you've got them, and they're frustrated, and they can't do anything. But as soon as you're in, it's pretty devastating. Victor has been really, really strong this preseason. The Herald of the Arcane goes a little bit crazy. Isn't at full power. Reminder, we are on the live patch. Rise's turn to reply.
Yeah, I am slightly concerned with how much you know about Yorick jungle, but we can discuss that off camera.
I don't play top lane anymore. I've moved away. I'm into wacky jungle picks to try and get my Masters promos through. It's not working.
Yeah, probably worth mentioning that I don't think it's their main AD carry. It's Zapdos playing, their coach, right?
It is. Zapdos!
Yeah,
You're not on the broadcast. Where have you gone?
And I was going to say, I understand the Seraphine pick. You're probably just like, listen, buddy, just relax down there. Do your best. Hold it down. And so I like that pick Sadrani picked up as well. So I don't think there's Yorick jungle showing up.
No, it doesn't look like it. And I wouldn't even say immediately, because Scooby-Doo is very well known for their enchanters. So we could even get like some kind of double enchanter tech going in on the bot lane. I doubt it. When I see Seraphine, it's definitely leaning towards potentially the carry pick for Zapdos. And Venom Crest will right away match the Vi, which is something good. Like, Seraphine can be a hard champion to get on top of sometimes. Vi is just one of those great click R champions to guarantee engage onto someone. We've been seeing in other leagues too. No surprises there.
It's a difficult angle to engage. You set up really nicely for the encore onto everyone coming